Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Kurbanov versus Soro fight. If you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so, like the video if you do need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Kurbanov is 24-0 with 13 KOs, and Soro is 35-3-2 with 24 KOs. This fight is a 12-round fight in the super welterweight division. Kurbanov's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Gonzalez, and Soro's last fight was a draw due to injury versus Madrimov. Soro is 35 and Kurbanov is 27. Soro's losses have come versus Madrimov in 2021, Castano in 2017, and Basin Gurov in 2012. The Madrimov one, there was a lot of kind of controversy around that. That's why they rematched it again, because there was punches after the bell for that. And I mean, I still think Madrimov was winning anyway and would have won. Same with the fight where he was winning. I think he was winning but it ended due to injury. And because it was under the 4 rounds, it got ended as a draw. So I think Soro is a bit lucky to only have the 3 losses on his record. I think it could be up to 4. Could be up to 5. But he's still a good, well-rounded opponent who's of course experienced, been around there with some great fighters. And I mean, if you look at the people who he's lost to, I mean Castano especially, I mean he's gone on to fight Charlo, I believe, and so you know there's the big names there, and Madrimov I'm sure is going to go on to big things as well, so big names there around that he's fought in. This is in Kurbanov's home country of Russia, of course, and so let's speak about Kurbanov. So he sits down on his punches well. He's a counter puncher. He fights off the back foot. He's got a strong guard. He changes levels. He finds gaps. He has very good head movement. He sets up shots well. He's quicker than Soro and seems to hurt every opponent he faces. I'm saying that, I'm not going off his KO ratio, because I mean 13 and 24 is very good but not amazing. But every fight he seems to hurt his opponent at some point. It might not be enough to stop them, but he always seems to have them in that bit of worry, and that's maybe because of the fact of the way he fights. He will invite pressure, and he will let you think that maybe you're winning rounds. Maybe you will win rounds, but when he comes back, he's quite explosive, and he sets off some good combinations. And like I said, he does sit down on them punches, and so it can catch you off guard, and it's quite hard to predict. And so that's probably why it does hurt their opponents more, because it's flush and they don't expect it. And of course that means that it can catch them off guard, and means that they're not like bracing for it, and so it's more likely to hurt them. And I mean, the way he does cover up, I mean, he's got a strong guard, like I said. He's got a good head movement. He doesn't get hit loads. He does get hit a bit because I mean, he is not got the best physical movement. His head movement's good, but his actual physical movement's not amazing. And he doesn't feint loads. And I suppose his style of an explosive counterpunch, you don't really need to. And he does stand a bit straight on, so he is open to get hit. But looking at someone like Soro, yes, he's got a decent knockout ratio, but I think in recent years he's not really turned up the tempo too much. And so I think it'd be tough for him to be able to maybe get out someone like a Kurbanov stylistic wise, because I think Soro is a bit of a counterpuncher himself. And so, I mean, let's speak about Soro. Of course, he's more experienced, he's controlled, he's composed, he's got a good jab, he's patient, he counters to the body well, he finds openings, he's disciplined, and he's got a good chin. The way he finds openings is nice. The body shots are good, they're good work. He's got a good jab, like I said. He sets up shots quite nicely with that. He keeps a range alright with that. He's disciplined, patient. Like, he's not gonna. Neither of them are gonna be rapidly quick starters, and I think it'll probably take into a bit of the later rounds for things to really get going with this fight. But I think when it will get going good. And like I said, it will be interesting to see if Soro is going to maybe go out a bit more, change his style from what his last fight was, and maybe go out a bit more guns blazing, because versus Madrimov, in that fight where it was a draw, he wasn't really throwing loads, and he was getting out punched and out boxed by Madrimov. And so obviously it's got to be good to be disciplined and be composed and not kind of worry under any pressure, which I don't think Kurbanov will make him worry or make him panic at all. But I just don't know if he's going to give enough back. in them explosive elements, that it's going to be maybe too much for Soro. Of course, he's got a good chin though, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think Kurbanov's power is crazy. He sits down on his punches well, and he can catch you off guard. But I think somebody like Soro might not be caught off guard quite as easily as some of his other opponents. So I don't know how much he would struggle with that kind of thing. Soro though, he's got a bit of a shaky guard. I think the straight punches get through quite easily, but it's still quite a high guard. He stands a bit too tall. He doesn't really duck down too much. He is just going to stand tall and take quite a few punches and not have the best movement. Doesn't throw loads, like I said. He does stand toe to toe, and probably Kurbanov's going to invite that and want that, and I think he's going to be able to outbox him possibly with that. He struggles when a tempo gets turned up. I think he does, not in the way of, like I said, being panicking or anything. I think he just can't throw as much because he isn't as quick of a thrower. Does that make sense? Doesn't throw as much, yeah. And he's not overly fast either. He is a bit of a slower puncher. I think his age is maybe getting to him a little bit in that aspect. But I don't think Kurbanov is a crazily fast opponent. He is quite fast when he's explosiveness, but yeah, I suppose he is. But I mean, there's elements of Soro. He could possibly put on more of a technical boxing display with his jab and possibly win that way, but I don't know. Kurbanov, I think he should probably be against tougher opposition because, I mean, obviously he beat Smith. That was a very big victory for him. And then he had a year out, over a year out, a year and a little bit. And I think he should be fighting better opponents now than Soro, because obviously I know Soro's coming off a draw and a loss, but it should realistically be a loss and a loss. But yeah, I don't think he's the best opponent that he probably could have faced. Maybe it's the current state of Russian boxing, or maybe it's just because to keep him active. There's probably other reasons to it, but I think he should be definitely after this fight facing very good opposition. Kurbanov, of course, is the favourite, and I think that Kurbanov will win via TKO in round 11. I don't normally like to give away my predictions too early on while I'm just saying my thoughts on each fighter, but I've kind of have the. But yeah, TKO in round 11. I think Soro getting into the later rounds will struggle a bit more, and I think obviously I don't think he's gonna throw too much and then tire himself out, but I think just Kurbanov, he's just gonna end up becoming a bit too, I suppose, relentless. I think the later on in the fight, Kurbanov will thrive more, and then eventually we'll be able to get him out of there. I don't think it'll be a KO though. I think it will be a TKO. And then I've got a few names of who he could fight here. Charlo, I think, is an option, of course, but there's a lot of people that want to fight him at the moment because he hasn't been fighting that much, and I don't know when he's going to be back fighting. So there's other options. Zhu's going to be wanting Charlo, but while we're waiting for Charlo, we could make that fight. It depends how long Charlo wants to be. This all kind of depends on how long Charlo wants to be. Same with Mendoza. He's going to want Charlo, but he's going to have to wait and see how long it takes for him to be back. Of course, he's the WBC interim champion. And Murtazaliev is also an option. I think that would be a good Russian matchup. They're both ranked quite highly in respected boards, and that could be a good matchup as well, and maybe a bit of an easier matchup to make. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.